So, hello everyone. In this time of huge crisis of emotional disturbance in this pandemic, we all are facing many challenges and issues. Many government and non-government organizations have come forward, and they are trying to help people not only in their physical health and the issues directly related to COVID-19, but at the same time, for mental health also many organizations have come forward. This specific session is basically not for the common public, but for those counselors who are willing to offer their services and come and join hand with this group of experts who are working in the field of mental health. So this is a specific, kind of understanding and discussion just for them who are already into the counseling section, so that they can just polish themselves only in reference to this COVID-19 situation.
All right. Now, this pandemic is new for all of us. This is the first time where we have faced such a situation that the normal patterns of helping others or treating others have been changed so drastically, not for us as mental health professionals, but even if you go to the doctors, now they can't see patients without wearing PPE kits and, taking proper precautions. So never before we were in such a situation, and we have to realize that the pandemic is striking us all at various levels, like obviously at the physical level, then at a mental level, at a financial level, at a social level. So there are very various aspects of our lives as a community, which have been disturbed by this pandemic. And definitely each one of us has a role to play, whatsoever it might be, and when I say that, I also include each and every person of the community, just by following the guidelines of COVID pandemic, the precautions that has to be taken, a major service will be done to the to the bigger community. We'll be contributing a lot. But when it comes to our role as clinical psychologists, we'll find a drastic change in that. Like I, for one, I had to shift from a physical office where I was always in the habit of seeing my patients to an online consultation, and which is sometimes a video call and sometimes an audio call. So there were certain benefits which happened when the client and I, we used to share the same physical space. Now that has been dropped off for bigger reasons. So personally, I feel that obviously the pandemic is affecting, as I said before, us at many levels, and so the disturbances also are vast. To summarize them into categories also would not be very easy. So if I just start with the broader category, people who had COVID and people who didn't have COVID as such, even this won't be a fair category to say, because people who didn't have COVID have still been affected by the repercussions of COVID, in the sense that they have lost their job or have lost their loved one, or their domestic life has been disturbed in many ways. And there are many issues that are coming up because of that, like generally depression, anxiety, substance abuse, domestic violence. These all have increased in people. In fact, this is the present scenario. We still don't know what the future scenario would be for all of us. But in present scenario only, a lot of mental illnesses have increased, and I think most of us will agree on this point. The thing is that first of all we have to address the mental health issues. We can't deny that. But before that, I also feel, as which I gathered, during the experience that I gathered during consultation with my clients, that my role as a psychologist has expanded. Now a lot of people, sometimes they call me and they have got, these normal and I shouldn't say normal, they have got these anxieties which are very universal. So sometimes I'm just being an information agent for them, because if you remember Maslow's hierarchy, Maslow also very clearly talked about that if the physiological needs, the basic needs are not met properly, the other needs become irrelevant at that point of time. So here, when people are struggling for food, shelter, safety, oxygen, medical services. So other things come to a background. Like I had a person who called me some time back, and I told him that I know I am a private practitioner and I charge for my sessions, and he was like, "मैम पैसे की वजह से ही तो प्रॉब्लम हो रही है और आप भी पैसे ही मांग रही हैं." So it becomes a difficult situation for us to be into. So that is my first thing, that you have to realize that kahin pe, our role as a psychologist has expanded, because we just don't be catering to the emotional need of a person. We'll also be information agents, jahan pe, we'll be in a way psycho educating them about the COVID illness, and dealing with those problems. Then the regular mental issues, we all know how to deal with anxiety, how to deal with depression, how to deal with grief, substance abuse or domestic violence. Domestic violence is another area where you need to, if you're working as a psychologist, you need to have proper database to tell the women, particularly because women are the ones who are getting abused in domestic violence. Whom should they call? Whom should they contact? All right. And always remember, even when the situation is so desperate, don't try to be the decision maker for your clients. Don't take that autonomy from them where they can still make their own decisions, because that dependence, if you will create in your client, that would be very detrimental for the client and for you also, because after a certain while, you will experience a burnout within yourself, and a counter transference, which would be very difficult to handle per se. So, and then there is another community of kids who have been very badly affected. And I particularly see, like kids of all ages have been affected, like school going kids are not able to go to school, which is such a major loss for them. But I particularly feel the major crises are coming from the group of 22 to 28, people who are in their 20s, because this is the most fertile period of their life. This is the time where they would have got jobs, they would have got settled, but all of a sudden a pandemic has come, and they'll continue to age, but the goals won't be achieved. Like people are losing jobs to forget about getting jobs in the present scenario. So this is one age group that has been affected a lot by this pandemic, because they are losing the major fertile years of their lives in this situation. And by the time everything would be settled and we'll be back to the new normal, things would be that there would be much bigger competition to deal with, much newer kids who must have come for in the same bracket as they are presently.
Do you think there might be like some specific ways to handle the anxiety, and especially is there any particular idea how to discriminate the anxiety from normal anxiety and the anxiety related to COVID-19? That is one thing. Or I would say, even if we don't want to go into such a detail, but at least what could be those psychosocial factors, so-called this psychosocial factors, because it is coming up in a very common way, and it has been very highlighted in the literature and practices and SOPs.
First, let's try and understand anxiety. So many people call and they say, मैम हमें बहुत एंजाइटी हो रही है, हमें पैनिक अटैक आ रहा है, हमें बेचैनी लग रही है. We have to understand and we have to communicate the same to our clients, to the community, that anxiety is always an unpleasant emotion. I'll agree, but it is not always a negative emotion. If you refer back to the studies which have been done on anxiety, you will always find that mild to moderate anxiety is very good.
That's
That
called
kind of
clarity oriented anxiety, right?
right.
Yeah.
That is the kind of anxiety that gears you up to take the suitable measures which are required to deal with the situation. So anxiety, though unpleasant always, is not bad always. Anxiety becomes more relevant for us as psychologists to deal with when it is coming from irrational thoughts. And anxiety that is coming from rational thoughts is well founded. Okay, when a person is feeling anxious because of the current situation, as CBT, as cognitive behavior therapists, we always try and modify irrational thoughts. We never modify rational thoughts. So if our anxiety is coming that I might have COVID, then that is a anxiety based on a totally rational thought, and it should be accepted not just by the client but by you also. Don't try to change it. Okay. So first of all, try and understand, is the anxiety coming from a rational thought or an irrational thought? All right. That distinction has been made. The anxiety that is coming from a rational thought, is it in the level of mild to moderate or is it severe anxiety? If it is mild to moderate, it's good. It will still get the person to take the necessary precautions. But if it is severe anxiety, which may occur and which again is not abnormal because the situation is such, but the problem is that if emotions go very high, they will confound with your cognitive capacities. Your decision making capacities will be compromised, and that is why you need to deal with that severe anxiety that may happen in client. Like yesterday only, I was talking to somebody. His father, he was, after taking COVID vaccination, he started having COVID symptoms. And particularly old age people, they are very difficult to handle. They still are not accepting the realities of COVID. They are not taking the necessary precautions, and this becomes particularly very difficult for people who are living in small houses with one toilet, which everybody has to share. So such anxieties are so normal. You can't challenge. Even otherwise also, you should never challenge a person's emotions. And in this situation, when it is so rational and normal to feel anxious, don't ever challenge that anxiety of your client. All right, try and address it. All right. So CBT will not come in function for these kind of anxiety. The person or the psychologist we all should look forward is Rogers. Okay, Rogers has told us that you have to have a you know an unconditional positive regard, a lot of empathy, a lot of genuineness in yourself when you are dealing with the client. So we are going to keep Rogers constantly in our mind, and we are try to give the client positive, not positive, supportive psychotherapy. All right, so supportive psychotherapy would be the key function. And at the same time, you're always going to lead from one step behind. Don't try to make the decisions for your client. Just let him prioritize what is important, what is not important, what can I control, what I can't control, and then accordingly, come to a decision making as to how to do things. Now, this would be a longer goal. What the shorter goal would be, if the person is immediately feeling anxious, deep breathing. Always recommend deep breathing. It helps a lot. All right. Tell him, because even we are so not socially isolated, we are physically isolated. Socially, we are still connected through medium of various social platforms. So tell them, talk to people to vent out that anxiety. Anxiety when bottled up inside is a major liability. But once you start talking to people, the anxiety lessens. Thirdly, as psychologists always explain them the anxiety graph. People get confused and they feel that this is not going to end. This will continue. So once you psychoeducate them about the anxiety graph, they will be able to understand that this is a normal phenomena that happens in certain situations, and this will also go away. Fourthly, because in anxiety, sometimes people experience breathlessness or choking sensation, tell them to check their oxygen level and try. And if the oxygen levels are coming normal, then it means the anxiety is totally a psychological phenomena, and the breathlessness is not being caused by any of the COVID reasons or COVID factors.
Another associated issue which coming very strongly is we might mingle it with stigma and fear. Basically, fear and phobia are entirely different phenomena, and the stigma is a different understanding. But what is happening, it is mixing in the present condition. Like, suppose I'll give you an example. Suppose if I have to if I come to know that my child has to be in isolation or in any hospital where I cannot even go and see him or her. So what will happen, like, though it may be a genuine anxiety, but simultaneously the fear is there, and I'm unable to understand whether it is a genuine fear or I am becoming very stagmatic about the healthcare assistance which will be provided to my son or daughter there. Sometimes person doesn't understand whether they are actually fearful or it is just a panic and they are getting influenced by people. So as a counselor, if I somebody comes to me and they are very panicked and they are very fearful, how should I find it out if the fear which that particular person is having is genuine fear, or it is the society influence, or it is stigma based.
Okay.
In one line, if I have to say, can we have some technique where we can identify that this is genuine fear or this is just a stigma which is influencing my fear?
Okay. Again, we'll go to the basics. We have to understand fear is one of the is one of the primary human emotions. So fear is always going to be there. All
Right.
right. And as psychologists, we always know the difference between fear and phobia.
Right.
Okay. Fear is always rational, is
Right.
situational, and usually is based on rational thinking.
Right.
Phobia, on the other hand, is irrational, and the situation is perceived to be much more threatening than what it actually is. All right. So whenever a client comes to you, talking about his fears, or panics or anxiety that he's telling, at that time go further and try and understand from where those fears are coming. What are the reasons for being fearful? Like, if a person is being fearful because there is a COVID, that because he had got COVID symptoms and he's living with his elderly parents and he's fearful that he might spread it, the fear is totally rational fear. And at this time, like I said before, you just have to psychoeducate him, give him supportive psychotherapy. All right. But these days a lot of a disinformation is being circulated, or misinformation is being circulated for various reasons. Misinformation does not has a bad intention, but it's still being circulated unintentionally, I can say. But disinformation is sometimes circulated with a purpose to earn money or to have some profit. Like these days only, a lot of people are circulating the information that a third wave will come, which will affect the children. It will be very detrimental. We
Yes.
still don't have any facts on that,
True. 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 True.
right? So if in the present second wave, a person starts getting very protective about the child, no, my child will not go out, there is a third wave coming. So you can make it out, no? That is not, the rationality of the thought is being lost somewhere. And when you find that the rationality of the thought is being lost, and the behavior is exaggerated totally, you know then of course it is an irrational fear, a phobia, which needs to be dealt.
Like when you exaggerate your fear, that puts you in a very different place and create a boundary between you, the person, and reality. And as a counselor, one need to understand that stigma, like every emotion and every emotional reaction cannot be in just due to the stigma, or stigmatic behavior cannot be just the emotion. What would you suggest for a counselor, how they should have develop and nurture their resiliency when they are dealing with such clients, because that's very important aspect for all of us.
Right. Yeah. Psychotherapy, doing psychotherapy or counseling can be very emotionally draining for a psychologist, and more so in present times, because they themselves must be having, friends and relatives around who are getting infected and who are losing their loved ones. So when you personally are in a very overwhelming space, there, and at that time, to maintain your composure and give counseling to the other person can be a very difficult task. So psychologists, I mean, who are continuing to do this, it may be like very, very exhausting for them. This I can personally say that from my own experience. And and one more significant thing is that, when others circulate, they circulate the information and they get the information. But when we talk to the people, we are reaching to their hearts. They are pouring out their hearts. So the emotions, they are being constantly being transferred to you, and you are reacting to that. So, like, I always practice, give a fixed number to how many counseling you are going to do. If you're not keeping well, say no to the appointments that day. Your sense of duty may come in between, but you have to understand, until and unless you take care of yourself, you won't be able to help others. Like in airplane, they said कि पहले अपना ऑक्सीजन मास्क लगाइए फिर दूसरे को हेल्प करिए. So you have to take care, and this is a situation for others also to remember. In times of COVID, sometimes people, when their loved one is getting infected, they are forgetting the guidelines. They have to understand, if you are not keeping well, you won't be able to save others. Okay, so always protect yourself if you want to protect others. That is very important. And keep like, even as a psychologist, if you're working from home, or if you're working in an organization, or like whatever, keep the schedule intact. Keep your do your walks, or your meditation, or whatever is that makes you happy, so the energy is always flowing positively in you, because the same would get transmitted to your clients. So that would be some pointers. And always talk to people in your fraternity. That always helps. When you ventilate with people who are from your fraternity, that helps a lot. To talking to other psychologists can also give wonderful insights, not just about your emotional state, but also how to deal with the situation. And one thing more I would like to add, that stigma thing that you're constantly talking about, this would be a general message for everyone. Please don't spread the stigma of COVID. Be there to help others. People are like, sometime back we had the stigma for AIDS, I remember, and then there was a lot of awareness that was
True,
created.
true,
So
true.
it is very important that this, because already we are being physically distanced. If we'll bring this new virus of stigma among us,
Right.
we'll be like socially distant also. We won't be able to help each other, and we have to remember that we can fight this pandemic together only. So many of the doctors, many of the nurses, or somebody who's getting COVID is suddenly being alienated by the group. This is not fair. We have to be there for everyone in the best possible way, keeping the guidelines in mind. Helping somebody with the grocery or with the medicines doesn't do any damage. If a doctor is taking proper measures and then wanting to come back to a family, and if a ruckus is being created about that, then the doctor would lose the motivation to help others. So please don't spread stigma about COVID at all, and be there as a society for each other. That is very important to remember.
Yes, Srivati, very valuable point actually, because this is something which is very important thing. Like as you said, if I'm not well as a therapist or counselor, I should not feel guilt in postponing my appointment. It's better to
Right.
always have. The second thing, there should be some relaxation and let out techniques to be followed by all of us as a daily routine. And of course, like expression should be from at our end also. It's just not
Yeah.
for the client we are giving them a platform. We also should not have any hesitation in talking to anybody with whom we feel comfortable after the session, or like whenever we are feeling distress and all. So these three things are very important, Rishi. Thank you for sharing this, because most of the time in overwhelming this feeling of service to do something for humanity, what happens, we forget that if we are not well, and if we will not be able to maintain our mental health well, then probably we'll not be able to help. Like charity begins from home. If I don't have anything for myself to eat, I cannot offer anybody. So we need to work with ourselves.